Shout out to my pal Mr.BeenThere for showing me the anime film Wolf Children. Going in, I admittedly wasn't super thrilled since I had already watched Summer Wars and The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, both of which were written by the same writer as Wolf Children, Satoko Okudera, and despite them both being well acclaimed, neither of those films spoke to me personally. Granted, I may change my mind on them if I gave them a rewatch while paying more attention, but I digress. In spite of that, Wolf Children really hit it out of the park for me, with a large part of my enjoyment being derived from the family dynamic that was all pulled together by the mother of the titular children, Hana. However, while she is an absolutely stellar character, and was what sold me on the movie, the character that caught my interest the most in the end was Hana's eldest daughter, Yuki. Part of what makes Yuki so impactful as a character is that we as the audience get to witness her through several different points in her life, starting from the day she was born and going all the way up to her as a young girl in the late years of elementary school. And when she was a toddler, it's no surprise that she was trouble for Hana, but her nature as a part wolf, part human hybrid only made things more chaotic. Yeah, I'm sure raising a toddler is already hard enough without having the chance of the toddler turning into a puppy at any given moment. She chewed up the walls and legs of tables, nearly broke countless other items in the house, and even ended up eating a silica gel pack. Despite all the trouble she caused at this age, though, it's hard to stay mad at Yuki throughout this. She's just a little kid, a very happy one at that. One that's excited at just about everything she sees, and is just a giant ball of energy overall. And darn it, she was just adorable, and her happiness was entirely infectious. While these parts of the film endeared me to the girl plenty, what I really found myself enjoying from her was the moment she decided she wanted to go to school, and the moments that came as a result of that decision. These parts of the film will be where I put most of my focus. Seeing her even decide she wanted to go to school was a big moment for her character. When she heard about going to school, she slowly realized how badly she wanted to join in with her peers and be able to make friends. She wanted it so badly that she reined in some of her behavior in order to convince Hana that she could handle it without turning into a wolf on instinct in front of everyone. As Yuki went through her first days of school, while she started with much excitement, first day jitters aside, she quickly started to learn just how different she was from the other girls at her school. She ate with much less manners than the rest, and was shown being called out for running in the halls. On top of that, while other girls picked flowers and four-leaf clovers, she was showing off the snakes she managed to catch and befriend, while the other girls exhibited their collections of colorful, presumably play, jewelry. Yuki was excited to show her box of animal skeletons. Likely from animals she ate, but it was weird for them even without that knowledge. Once Yuki noticed these quirks of hers that were getting her into trouble, she decided that she wanted to be more traditionally feminine and ladylike to fit in with her classmates and friends. This declaration was the start of the largest shift for her character, as she did succeed in becoming more ladylike, quote-unquote, but in the process she became far more reserved. This really hit hard on my watch-through of the movie. She wanted to fit in so badly, and yet all of her joy from her childhood seemed to have disappeared. The idea of feeling the need to lock away some of what made childhood so particularly happy in order to fit in, grow up, and move on, that's something I can relate to all too much. This isn't to say Yuki's life was miserable. In fact, she seemed to be relatively content with this more human life she chose. Even still, it was a uniquely painful experience to watch that smile on her face become far less constant as the scenes progressed. Needless to say, all of her wolf instincts were hidden away by Yuki for several years attending school, with her trying to repress that side of herself as well. This itself becomes a point of conflict for her character a few times, one most notable example being when she tries to insist her brother Ame, who is much more in touch with his beast half, integrate more into human society like her, leading to an actual fight between them in their wolf forms, one that Yuki easily loses due to her intentionally avoiding those instincts. Unfortunately, this isn't even the only time her decision to be human became the basis of one of her most traumatic moments, but at the same time, it led to one of her deepest friendships. When a new classmate named Sohei accuses her of smelling oddly like a dog, this mortifies Yuki. Of course, being a kid, he didn't mean anything offensive by it, but this led to Yuki being terrified to even be in his presence. And when he followed her in an attempt to figure out why she was avoiding him, she nearly scratched the poor kid's ear off out of pure animal instinct. And yet, to her shock, when Yuki is brought to the principal's office, Sohei defends her and claims she didn't do it, saying that a wolf must have done it. While this did help Yuki feel like she could trust him and started spending more time with him as friends, She felt overwhelmed by guilt, knowing what she did to Sohei and him not putting the blame on her. This comes to a head when Yuki and Sohei are trapped in the school alone during a torrential storm, and she finally decides to trust her closest friend with her secret, turning into a wolf right in front of him and admitting that she was the one who hurt him. And then he tells her that he knew the whole time and never told a single soul. In his own words, "You're safe." This brought Yuki to tears, and rightfully so. After trying so hard to conform with human society, she found at least one person who she could definitely be herself around. She grew up, but in the end, she didn't have to lose everything that made her Yuki. And that served as a beautiful, perfect ending for her character arc.